You're listening to the Tumbling Saber Podcast, a member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Check us out on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com, on iTunes, Facebook, and Twitter, and take your first step into a larger world. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 75 of the Tumbling Saber Podcast. I'm Kyle.
I'm Corey.
And I'm James.
And a very happy Mother's Day to everybody out there, all the moms listening. I don't know if we have any moms listening whatsoever, but if you do, and if you're a mom, we hope you had a great Mother's Day weekend.
Yeah.
All right, guys. How was your Mother's Day weekend? James, you seem exasperated over there in the pre-show. Let's have it.
So I get up this morning. My kids are excited, so they get up at like 4:15. You know?
No.
Yeah, because they're excited for Mother's Day or something.
Oh no.
Which is, really sweet and all, but very early. So then this throws everybody's schedule a little out of whack, and somewhere around 5:15, my wife gets up, so everybody's up, and so we, exchange grumpy looks, but then the kids bring out the handmade cards and gifts, and she's smiling. And so we're all sort of, begrudgingly enjoying Mother's Day morning when I smell I don't know what I smell. It just doesn't smell good in the hallway in the house. And then Em says to me, "Where are the dogs?" And I'm like, do you smell skunk?"
Oh no.
Yeah. So I open my patio door and I get literally punched in the face with ammonia odor. Like, it was just unbearable. So I immediately close it. I'm like, oh yeah, the dogs just got nailed. And yeah, so it started off pre 6 a.m. Washing smelly dogs. Terrific stuff.
That's brutal.
What is your trick to getting skunk smell out of a dog's fur?
I got this enzyme stuff that they sell at the pet store. I don't know exactly how it works, but I know the word enzyme applies. I should read the label.
Wait, you own it, as in?
Well, I had about
this has happened. It sounds like this is not the first time.
My dogs are slow learners. It's not the first time. We're old. This is old hat. This is we know what we're doing. But I didn't have much left. Em had to run out today and get some more skunk enzyme smelly. But I don't know what it's called. But yeah, product. It was all downhill from there, man.
Had breakfast yet?
Oh yeah, it was all downhill from there. The kids were sort of extra shitty at breakfast. I love my kids, and they're usually pretty good, but they were extra trying at breakfast. We went out for Mother's Day breakfast, and I pulled a pretty bonehead move, and I got a gift that I thought was really killer, and we already own one of those.
Nice, James.
So firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, I've given up on taking my kids out to dinner in public. We can't do it. My daughter's fine. My son is a disaster. So forget it until he's old enough. I mean, it's been months since we've been out for dinner in public.
Yeah,
can't do it.
No, I hear you. We do it anyways because we're stupid.
Nah, you know what? Mother's Day, it's one of those days. Okay, let's go and have some eggs Benedict or something.
It seems good in theory.
And then it sounds really nice in theory. We're not going to cook. We'll have this great breakfast. Wonderful day to wonderful way to kick things off. No.
Yeah, see, Em likes waffles, so we always go out for waffles. But with 3 kids, it's gotten quite difficult. So I knew it would be a pain. So what did I get for Mother's Day? A waffle maker. And I cook breakfast, so it's not even like I'm dumping the responsibility of her making her own waffles on her. But so she sees it and she goes, so the kids don't hear, we have one of these. I was like, what? Why don't we eat waffles? I don't understand.
Did you at least buy a Star Wars themed waffle maker?
No, I saw that they had some Frozen themed ones at the Walmart, but No, I got a good one. I went shopping around and I got a good waffle maker. So at least we're we're trading out the old one. If you want an old crappy waffle maker for free, I got one.
I'm covered. Thank you.
It may never have been used, as far as I know.
Mint in box.
Yeah. I don't get this whole Mother's Day big deal anyways. To put it into like an analogy, fathers are like, we mixed the ingredients and then the moms like baked it inside them. And if a baby was a cake, you don't give the credit to the oven. You give it to the baker.
Yeah, no comment there, man.
At Tommy Bombadil 1, ladies, moms.
I told that to my wife today and it didn't go over well. It's weird.
I don't know if it's that weird.
I told it to a couple of her friends and they didn't like it either. I couldn't understand.
I say the same thing every now and again. My wife also is on my face. She's like, 9 months in here. And she's like, over there, 30 seconds. And I'm like,
jeez.
I'm like that. I'm like, hey, look how beautiful our son is. I'm just that good. Get the job done right.
I like the 30-second
first time.
I like the 30-second comment. It's 1 in a million. That's what I say. That's the hard part. I did the 1 in a million part. She did the easy part.
So everybody, that's Tommy Bombadil 1 and Chop Rules with a Z.
At least
I'm just hosting this shit show.
At least it won't be Mother's Day anymore when this thing airs.
Indeed, it won't be. But you know what? Mother's Day was not the only thing that we had today. It is the maker's birthday. So you're hearing this on Tuesday, probably. But this past Sunday was George Lucas's 73rd birthday. So we hope he is currently having a good day as well. But sticking with moms for a second here. Star Wars moms, I mean, they really get the shaft as far as their stories go, doesn't it? Like, ooh.
Yeah. Well, I've been saying this for a while. Shmi, there's a lot of there's something to be told there. There's a story to be told there. Be pretty interesting. Even Padme too. There's not a lot of expanded stuff on her out there as of yet.
Yeah, and Leia.
No, but I mean, all these moms have their kids taken away from them.
Yeah, man, Leia's got not a very good relationship with hers either. Is there one good mother relationship in the whole universe, galaxy?
Well, Anakin and Shmi was good until he was ripped away from her. And by the way, I don't think Qui-Gon tried as hard as he could have to get her away.
You watch your tongue. Qui-Gon did no wrong.
I think he kind of mailed it in there.
Yeah, you might be right.
I asked for your mother's freedom, Annie, but Wada wouldn't have it.
So I just moved that dice over just a fraction of an inch.
Yeah, Watto said no, so I left.
So I chopped him in half with my lightsaber is what you're saying he should have done.
Something like that.
Yeah, well, I could have anyway, or at least pulled it out and said, I'm taking both. What's Watto going to do?
Yeah, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
This doesn't, when you say that all moms usually get their families taken away or their children taken away, it doesn't bode well for our space mom, Hera. She's kind of like, figuratively, she's kind of a mom to the crew.
Yeah, she's going to have her whole crew, her babies taken away too. I don't know if this is going to cost me something in the kitty, but like the parent company of Lucasfilm, who makes all the decisions, Disney is notorious for doing this to the parents in their movies, right? Like that's how you make compelling storytelling is like mess with children and moms.
Yeah, you pull the rug out from under the kid and set them off on their adventure that way.
Yeah, Bambi.
All of them.
Lion King.
Yeah.
Frozen. Both of their parents die.
Yep. Oh, there's a lot of parents in peril. Tarzan.
Yeah, so Shmi, Lyra, Padme, Leia.
Nemo.
Things haven't gone well for Mom and maybe Hera.
Probably Hera too.
Things just don't go well. But I think Star Wars does need like an effective, real mother-child relationship, like a mother-daughter relationship. We've gotten the father-son. I think it's about time we have a mother-daughter.
So Maz is Snoke, and Rey's going to win her over because it's her grandmother.
Her really old grandmother. Oh, man. Okay, so James, I wanted to ask you this. I saw this in my Google alerts for Star Wars news. Kylo is the fastest rising boy's name in America in 2016. So what are you going to do? Because it's inevitable. What are you going to do maybe 15, 16 years from now when a boy walks into your classroom and his name is Kylo?
I don't know. That's a good question. I already have like a wide variety of names that you can recognize. Like, for example, Danica is quite popular, and I always ask, like, do your parents watch the one? Yes, my parents watch the Wonder Years, sir. So, like, yeah, it's gonna happen for sure.
Does that kid get a punch in the throat? Does he get a note home to his parents saying they're total weirdos?
Probably gets a high five because by the time that happens, Kylo's fully arced, come back to the good side and save the day.
Nay. Oh, I have no idea, but no, I'm never going onto that side of the fence. My head is firmly in the sand, boys.
Never say never.
I shouldn't. I should never say never. And moving right on to what may be the most important news we will get to today. Today is May 16th, as you might know, and our good friend Carlos Candido has kicked off a Kickstarter campaign to fund his new album. You know Carlos, you know his music, you hear it every time you listen to this show. He's been a good friend to everybody here at the Commonwealth, and we want to help him out, and we want to see how far the Commonwealth can help Carlos give wings to his project and help reach his goals. So he made magic with a 3-song EP, which many of you out there already have your hands on, and so I'm very eager to hear what he can do with a full album. So I just want to direct your attention to his Kickstarter project. So head over to carloscandidomusic.com, or you can hit up his Facebook page and just hit those details. He's got a lot of cool rewards up for grabs, and it's a talented musician, a big Star Wars fan, a friend of our community. He's been very supportive all the way through, and I think we should help return the favor.
Yeah, and you couldn't donate to a nicer guy either. I mean, he cares about his music a lot, and he's got that big gruff, grumbly voice and the sailor's vocabulary, but he's the classic teddy bear with the big gruff exterior. Super, super nice guy, super talented. I'm definitely going to put some money towards his Kickstarter, and everybody else should too.
Yeah, I fully agree. Fully 100% agree.
Yeah, so again, carloscandidomusic.com. You can find him on Twitter, on Facebook.
We love you, Carlos.
We love you, Carlos, man. We love your music, and we're going to do what we can here at the Commonwealth to help you hit your goal. The goal is $2,000, and we need to get there by June 2nd. So don't wait. Head over there and do what you can. Any little amount helps get Carlos closer to that goal. And it's we've been waiting for a while for new music from Carlos now. So let's get on with that, guys. Let's head over and support one of our friends. And with that, we can actually get into a little bit of Star Wars news. And Rogue One's box office run has come to a close. And I'll be honest, I didn't know it was still in theaters with the Blu-ray being available for the better part of a month globally. But anyway, it was out there in a few straggling theaters, but ended up collecting a $532,177,324 domestic, and good for $1.056 billion internationally. But guys, I want to take a look at that list. I plugged a little list in the show notes. The top 15 or so movies of all time? That is quite the list. But what jumped out at me is these are all relatively new movies. Like 10 of the 15 movies on this list came out in the last 10 years for the most part. Anything on this list that jumps out at you?
Well, but yeah, it's all from the same parent company, just about. And yeah, Beauty and the Beast hasn't been there very long and has slammed its way up that list. It only came out, weeks ago.
Yeah, that rocketed up there.
But these aren't adjusted numbers, right? So, like, of course, they're all new movies because these are all total dollars, and movies are crazy.
Yeah,
expensive
when you
now.
think of it in those terms, it's like the big surprises would be the original Star Wars and E.T. when not accounting for inflation, right?
Yes.
And Gone with the Wind for that matter, right? That's sort of still the all-time champ, I would imagine.
I'm pretty sure it is still the all-time champ when you do the adjusted,
Yeah, but that
dollar.
that in
game.
a way it's almost unfair because it probably stayed in theaters for like 5 years, right?
Much
No
longer.
longer. It was like
That was
20
in
years.
theaters forever. But I mean, Star Wars, it's not fair for A New Hope either, because that's been re-released into theaters many times.
Yeah.
When you add it all up,
What?
A New Hope has spent years in theaters as well.
Jurassic World's a bit of a surprise for me, and especially the number on it's kind of staggering as well.
Yeah.
Like when I heard the rumors that movie was coming out, I was like, okay, whatever, it's gonna do well, but I never expected it to do this well.
No, I find that a shocking number. 652 million for Jurassic World. Whew. And that'll be episode 9 is gonna be on this list as well at some point, and I imagine Jurassic World will still be hanging on. But that'll be 2 Colin Trevorrow movies in the top 10 of all time. And still, I bet you some people will be asking, who's Colin Trevorrow? Finding Dory. I find that a big surprise.
Yeah, me too. To be honest, a lot of people loved the first one, right? So, they grew up, and yeah, they had to do a second tour for the second one. But I much more a fan of the first one, to be honest.
Yeah, Ellen's huge.
Then at number 10 on the list, episode 1, The Phantom Menace, just hanging on there. But Star Wars, A New Hope, out of the top 10. And that's only recently. I think Beauty and the Beast was the thing that kind of kicked it out of the top 10.
Alternative facts.
This is hard news, man. It's over. A New Hope is out of the top 10 of all time.
It's your truth.
How are you looking at this list?
No comment.
Yeah, okay.
Now, whatever. I mean, whatever. It was kind of inevitable in a way, right?
Well, I know Corey's loophole answer. He's, Rogue One is so close to it, so in a way you can just add Rogue One's total to A New Hope's, and that really makes it number 2.
Hey, that's pretty good, Kyle. Let's go with that.
Actually, that would probably put it right. Yeah, that would put it over The Force Awakens, and give it the clear away the number 1 spot.
Corey, adjusted for inflation, it's number 6 on the all-time list.
Interesting.
We're talking
adjusted for inflation, Star Wars: A New Hope is number 6.
Yeah, so I imagine a lot of old movies are on that list.
Yeah, and it's not Gone with the Wind, by the way, number 1, which I thought was the reigning champ. It's Jaws. Jaws, 10 Commandments, Titanic, E.T., Sound of Music,
Wow,
Star Wars. Then Gone with the Wind.
That's really surprising. Jaws.
I think if anything can be learned from Rogue One and these numbers and all that stuff is that, Lucasfilm has the blessing to kind of do whatever they want. And
From whom?
from their bosses, whoever owns them.
Is Corey wising
Whatever.
up?
I mean, directors and stuff, they need not fear kind of throwing some weird stuff at the wall every now and again.
It's a sad day. Corey's learning.
You're just sad because you're not gonna get to go to dinner anymore. I'll screw up. Don't worry. Wait till we get to sit disturbers, man.
Yeah, we're
sit
not.
Disturbers.
That's coming at you later this week. I'm sure you're gonna have a bucket full of beer, ready to have
Sure.
some beer-induced errors in judgment.
Yeah.
All right, moving ahead here. Ian McDiarmid, apparently, according to Star Wars Newsnet, has recorded lines for Rebels Season 4. And these were reportedly recorded 6 months ago, just days after Warwick Davis had come in to do some work as well. Everybody believes this was work for Rebels. So my question to you guys, so as great as it would be to have the original voice back, like, is this really necessary? Like, I thought Sam Witwer was doing a really good job, but if you can get Ian McDiarmid back, I guess you take him back. Does this all line up to you, Corey?
Yeah. I mean, look what they did to James Arnold Taylor, right? Like, it's kind of in the article as well, but I mean, they want to maybe represent that passage of time. Yeah, granted, Sam Witwer did a great job, but you just said it. If you can get Ian McDiarmid and he's kind of adamant about doing the role, go for it, man. It works period wise, and God, it's a gift to us. I think it's awesome.
James, you on the same page?
I am, and with it doesn't surprise me this stuff is happening with like things like Celebration going on. These people get together in the same places, you know. It's just networking, right? And then it's like, oh, well, let's get you back involved. Let's get so and so involved.
And for themselves as well.
I'm just not surprised.
For themselves as well. I mean, they go to an experience like Celebration, and like the fans just galore, and these stadiums where they're on stage, like they realize, like, man, this is just so much bigger than like anything, you know. Like, we gotta. I'm sure at this point in his life, like he's totally on board.
Well, if you know, being at Celebration, he had already recorded his lines for season 4, so he was sitting on this.
Maybe that's one of the reasons why he had such a heavy presence there as well. But I mean, no, not necessarily only that, but it's a big character. But
so if Palpatine is back, is Vader bound to be back as well?
I can't remember. You don't have our not our poll results, but you had asked. I think it was Candace and I. One of the episodes, I think, when James was traveling after the season finale of Rebels, and you had predictions,
right?
And I believe I said that no Vader and yes to Palpatine, and I think I'm gonna stick with that. I think, you know, it'd be cool to see them both, but anyway, I really like the fact that Palpatine will make an appearance, hopefully. I mean, this seems like pretty much confirmed news.
That seems pretty solid.
Like, just having the gravity of his character, like, kind of really spells bad things. Like, he's kind of, like, the Rebels kind of got, or our Ghost Crew kind of might have his attention now. So
if he's not talking to Vader, is he talking to Thrawn?
Yeah, possibly.
Tarkin?
Why not? Tarkin too. If he's, you know, Tarkin and him are pretty tight, it looks like.
Oh, yeah. You know, I still, you know, going back to the Sam Witwer thing, I feel a little bit bad for the guy. I mean, he's not doing Maul anymore. That's over. Unless they go back in time, which I hope they don't do. And now he apparently isn't doing Palpatine either, unless Palpatine is back in some other show. But you know, I do get it. If you have the original guy able to do the voice and he wants to do it, go ahead and do it. And you know, I also thinking that maybe this is it for Ian McDiarmid as Palpatine. There may not be that many more opportunities for him to play that character. So maybe this was a way for him to, you know, head into studio one day, record a bunch of lines, and that's his sort of curtain call as Palpatine. Which I think even Sam Witwer would say, yeah, this is awesome. I'll do Palpatine again at any point in the future, but this is Ian McDiarmid who wants to do it one more time, so let's do it.
And I think Witwer too, he has a pretty well established footprint within the Star Wars industry now. They'll be looking out for him. I'm sure in future projects he'll have something. Let it be in another animated show or video game for sure, or whatever.
Oh yeah, I can't shed too many tears for him. I think he'll be fine, but still.
Well, it's the same thing, like you said. Like James Arnold Taylor got the boot for Steven Stanton, who's kind of like the man of the hour right now in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, well, I mean that one's a bit different, right? Like James Arnold Taylor does a good Alec Guinness.
That's even worse.
He could have done
even
it.
Worse. Yeah,
but instead, the reasons are theirs, and we're all happy with what Steven Stanton did. He's an absolute wizard for his portrayal of Obi-Wan. But still, yeah, moving in one guy who had gotten used to the character and who us fans had gotten used to, and then they're gone. We'll be fine too. Where everybody's going to come out of this just fine, but yeah, still, it's unsettling a little bit.
Well, either way, I think it just, more importantly, I think it just spells amazing things for this season of Rebels. This short season, like, oh man, like the Emperor is going to be involved, like whatever the rebellion's doing at this point on Lothal, or whatever the mission is of this season, like Palpatine's, like I said, it's going to have his attention, and he's going to probably need to get involved.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I could see this maybe closing out the series. And if Thrawn fails, you know, this could be, you know, Palpatine giving him a death sentence, so to speak. Or was he? Maybe he lived a bit longer than that. But Emperor turning to Vader or to Tarkin saying, "This guy's no good. These rebels are too big of a problem. I'm passing the torch to you." I don't know, but I don't think he's gonna have a huge role.
No, me neither. But it'll be hopefully it's somewhat significant.
Now, do you think it's a holographic message or is it in person? Does it matter?
That would, the holographic message would be cool, but I think the gravitas of having him in a scene, hopefully, to be honest, concerning something in regards to the Force would be really cool.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see him it would be nice to see him doing something other than giving some kind of backbiting remark.
Yeah, I'd be like, the young Ezra Bridger is getting too powerful.
Yeah, just this inane comment. We know.
Yeah.
Give us something. Tell us something that you're gonna do. Oh, James, does this make you any more stoked for Rebels that the Emperor is gonna be taking a turn here?
I mean, I think it's really cool. I don't know if it makes me more stoked, but it makes me stoked. Like, I like the idea.
Yeah, I mean, this last season is going to be jam-packed. It's going to be 15 episodes, and I don't think there's going to be a lot of room for these, Mystery of Chopper Base or the Forgotten Droid type episodes. Like, it's going to everything is just going to cut right to the bone.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can wait and I can't wait. But I think, like I said, by the end of this series, this 4-season series, like, it's however it ends, I just think it's going to tell this amazing story from beginning to end when you look at it as a whole. And, so pumped for this.
Hey, you've only got, 5 months more to go?
No problem. Time flies, man.
Indeed. And time is flying as we approach, slowly, the Han Solo movie. But again, Star Wars Newsnet has posted a bunch of concept art for the upcoming film. And I guess I need to stress these are potential designs. I don't think we should assume that what we saw here is definitely going to be in the movie. James, anything that you saw in these images stand out to you?
We sort of debated a lot back and forth with the posters that came out for Rogue One, like how that Russian poster was the only one that sort of felt Star Wars to us. And then we all oohed and awed with that latest teaser poster we got at Celebration there. Or was it for Celebration or did we get it before?
You're talking about the Rogue One helmet?
Well, the Rogue One helmet, I know we got months ago, but when did we get the latest Star Wars poster that's super classic?
Yeah, that was
Last
Celebration.
Jedi? Yeah, that was...
It was just at the beginning of Celebration we got that, eh? I don't think anything has felt more Star Wars to me than that particular one, and I didn't look at this and have that same. I didn't look at these and have that same sort of feeling like, oh yeah, they nailed it. But I'd say B+.
I'd say that's fair. Corey?
I don't know. Kind of looks kind of neat. Like, it looks a bit Wild Westy. Like, the speeder bike thing kind of makes sense to me. Like, we get to see Hot Shot Han back in the day running his mouth as a kid. For sure, there's got to be a cool bike involved at one point. We haven't seen that in, ever, really. Well, no, we've seen it before, but, Jedi. That'd be like another nice bike racing scene would be kind of cool.
Yeah, we're going to have to get used to the idea of Han flying something other than the Falcon, at least to start the film.
But, again, all the ships... You see as well, they all look like freighters and transports as well, and the world that they're on, that topical view, it almost, like, again, it looks very Wild Westy, like trader outposts kind of deal.
Yeah, it does for sure. I mean, the sketch that makes me happiest is the one of Han. Like, he looks like he's just straight out of Bespin, right? Like, he's got his long jacket on, the holster, the belt, everything. Even the face.
He sort of looks like he has dad bod.
Yeah, I suppose. A little bit. I mean, maybe Han is a real big fan of space hot dogs. But I
Yeah, it's funny looking at this planet again, like this far off world, like it's almost like you can almost see Han. Maybe imagine Han growing up as a nerf herder. Like he doesn't deny it. The first thing he says, "Who's scruffy looking?"
nerf herder farming.
Yeah, maybe who knows?
That would be funny. Good call. I think you just accidentally like called a little Easter egg they were putting in for us, Corey.
It's possible. That's why I was thinking about it too. It could be a nice little joke.
Yeah, that would be pretty funny. Han actually is a nerf herder. Yeah, I can't even figure out what a lot of these ships are. Like, are they troop landers?
Like freighters.
What are these things?
Probably to me they look like that's it. Like one of two things: either like transports for goods or transports for people. Like they don't look military to me. They definitely look like frigates.
These are like smuggler ships and etc.
Exactly.
Well, one of them is there's the Imperial one. It has a very at looking head. It has those round little turrets on the side. That immediately jumped out at me as well, which is a cool little tie-in, a very, very obvious cue to Imperial design. But yeah, I'm kind of with you, James. These designs overall to me, they're kind of a B. They don't excite me too much. I hope there's better stuff to come. But we did see.
Yeah, I mean, you're just getting a small little taste here too. You know what I mean? Like, God, we just saw like 6, 7 images.
Yeah, well, yeah, not too much, but a few of them had stormtroopers in them, so we know that the Empire is going to play some role in this movie. We wondered about that. Are they going to be the big bad guy? Is Han going to be fighting the Empire throughout the film, or is it going to be more a thing where the first part of the movie? Let's not forget the movie kind of spans 6 years of Han's life. So will the first part of the movie be Han escaping the Empire, and that's all we see, or is the Empire going to be kind of right throughout the movie? I'm not sure. What do you guys think?
Well, we'd said this before again. Like in the EU, that was the thing that Han had joined the Imperial Academy and blah blah blah, and then defected at one point, and that could again make sense in this story up until the point maybe where he finds Chewbacca and sees what the Empire is kind of doing to him, and that's his moment of defection where he really, I got to get out of here. But that wouldn't really make sense for his mentor, right? Woody Harrelson's character. So I don't know. They can kind of totally scratch that. I expect there to be some kind of Imperial presence in this movie, but again, the film does not need to be based on a battle with the Empire. It'd be kind of cool if somehow the Empire was there in the background, and you got to kind of get past the Empire to get to your goal. But yeah, I don't see them being the main antagonist. I would almost be surprised if they really made the Empire like the main antagonist in this. I see it being kind of like a solo story, if you will.
Haha, a solo story.
James, do you agree with Corey?
I agree. I do. I think it'll be more likely like the Hutts or organized crime in general that he's sort of getting involved with and making enemies and friends with. This, I guess, like Corey said, behind the scenes we could see that the Empire's also dealing with the Hutts / organized crime, and that what Han's doing may be ruffling feathers and sending trickles and waves all the way up where he doesn't realize. But I don't think they'll be the main bad guy.
Yeah, like or like
movie.
If Han's trying to break into the Hutts or like some kind of gangster thing, and that there's an Imperial presence there, that first they have to get past the Imperial presence to get to their objective, kind of.
I tend to agree that if anything, maybe we see Han escape the Empire. But then throughout the rest of the movie, they're kind of always a looming presence. Like they're always 5 minutes behind them if Han's not careful. But yeah, his main antagonist is perhaps even the Woody Harrelson character once, or if he like turns on him, backstabs him. I see. Yeah, it's probably going to be more of a very personal tale, I think, to start.
Actually, Woody Harrelson's character would make sense thinking about it again. I think they had discussed this film spanning, what was it, 6 years maybe?
Yep.
Something like that. So, yeah, it could make sense that, flush out this in the prologue with the Empire and move on from there, kind of.
Yeah,
and then he can meet Woody and whatever.
I can see an instance where Woody kind of cozies up with the Empire and tries to sell out his whole entire operation in order to get leniency from the Empire. And then he becomes the bad guy.
That's definitely the route I see this film taking by the end, too, is that, kind of like the Yondu character, he's kind of out there for himself. And he's gonna, he'll probably drop Han in a heartbeat if it serves his purposes.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And Han's gonna come back with a vengeance.
So, Corey, what on this concept art? What's your grade?
It's no Ralph McQuarrie, and again, we're not seeing really spectacular images of this stuff. Like, we're lucky even to be getting some kind of image like this. This is not. This stuff was sold on eBay illegally, right? I think.
Well, it was listed on eBay. I don't know if it still is.
Either way, yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's really not much to go on, but gives us a little bit to speculate on. And yeah, I mean, it's no McQuarrie, but there's no great substance here. It's just a few ships, a picture of him.
It's got nothing on Matt Keegan's work. I mean, really, if Matt was sketching out stuff, it would look at least twice as good as this stuff. Minimum
twice. Yeah, for me, the most exciting part by far is seeing that little caricature, little sketch of. Yeah, it's pretty convincing as Alden Ehrenreich, but he looks straight up just like Han Solo. That makes me excited.
I was kind of surprised about that. I thought that would have changed his look somewhat,
Yeah, I guess I don't know if that's 18-year-old Han or if it's 24-year-old Han 6 years later. I don't know, but I'm sure at some point in the movie we're going to see Han looking different than we're used to seeing him. But it'll be almost like Indiana Jones, right? When he gets the fedora and the whip. I think maybe there'll be a similar moment for Han where he'll, throw on his jacket, his Bespin jacket, and that will be the moment we say, "There's Han Solo."
I hope they don't get too cheeky.
What's that, James?
I said I hope they don't get too cheeky.
Like the chin, like referencing the chin scar.
I don't know, just like when he tries on the leather jacket for the first time, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this feels right." And then if he looks over at a fedora and passes,
I know exactly.
Or like the first time him and Chewie enter the Falcon, they say, "We're home."
Ugh.
They did that.
Yeah, I know.
That'd be rough if they did that again, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like the first and the last time.
Oof.
Full circle, you mean?
Pretty much. Tying a really bad bow. I don't like it, don't get me wrong, but...
Well, look, Han Solo opens in about a year from now. Like, this time 1 year from now, we'll be at fever pitch for Han Solo.
Dude, and speaking of that, like, The Last Jedi, in 2 weeks from now, we're gonna be less than 200 days, I think. Less than 200. We were just speaking about breaking the 300 marker not too long ago.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, like 100 days ago.
The math is astounding. All right, let's move on to our last news bit here for the week. So again, Star Wars News Net dug something up on Reddit and brought it to the fore. And it was sort of an inventory or a purchasing list of some toys coming down the pipe. And one name in particular, there's a lot we could have talked about here, but we're just going to zone in on one here. And it's the codename of Victor and Victor with Throne. So I believe these are coming out in the Black Series, the 6-inch variety. And the name Victor believed to be a code name, but everybody kind of believes this is Snoke. So it'd be cool. It'd be pretty cool to finally get a Snoke figure. But do you guys think this is Snoke, or is this somebody else? Maybe Luke?
The only other person I can think that right now that has possible code name is DJ, and we know he likes. He likes his stuff impeccable from what we've heard. No, he looks like a grimy bum, but his ship you can like kind of eat off the floor. But I'm hoping for Snoke. What a toy that would be, man! Like the throne, that would just be really cool. And Victor kind of lends itself to bad guy. Sorry, any Victors out there.
At Chop Rules with a Z. James, what do you think?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, I when I first heard it, I thought maybe they mean like the noun, like winner, as opposed to like his actual name. And the other thing I immediately thought was just like that's just like the first letter of his actual name, because that's like Victor's the alpha,
The alphanumeric?
Beta, Charlie.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So Victor's V. So if his name's like Voldemort, which oh boy. But if his name just starts with V, then they could call him Victor as his call sign code name.
That's very true. And then things got a little more interesting, where they had an update to the report where there's going to be a Victor extendable lightsaber. So, if this lightsaber is Snoke, or if Snoke is carrying a lightsaber in The Last Jedi, that would pretty much spell it out that this guy is once and for all a Force user. Do we all agree with that?
Yeah, if it's him, yeah.
It would seem so.
What do they mean by extendable? Like he's already 8 feet tall?
Well, no,
7
just
foot something.
You know how the kids' lightsabers, you gotta just kind of like toss them so that the lightsaber springs out of them.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think they're talking about some kind of magic extending lightsaber in the movie.
I thought it was going to be like packaged with like a second set of the same figure, like one with a throne, one with a lightsaber kind of deal.
No, I think we're talking about a separate toy, like the $29.99 range.
Yeah, it's super interesting, man. Like we talked not too long ago about him possibly having a black kyber crystal as a ring on his finger. That could kind of somewhat come into play. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't want to think too Spaceballsy here and see him using that as a part of it, but
too late, you did it.
Well, you touched upon it, but he could use that crystal still. Like if he has his hilt with him, like just picture him like I like the fact that it's the crystal's not necessarily with his saber, but maybe he can use it for other uses kind of. So like when he needs it in his saber, he can just kind of like use his mind, get in his saber super quickly, and then start fighting or whatever. But
that seems sort of dumb. No, not as a concept, but I mean as a strategy. Like that seems like why take that risk?
Well, because he's so powerful. I think like that's the thing. Back in the day, I used to think Carly coined this term. I think he was all smoke and mirrors, but I'm more and more starting to believe that he does possess some kind of ancient knowledge.
Yeah, I think you may have said that before.
It's possible. But yeah, again, I didn't believe that he was... I thought he was like a Wizard of Oz kind of guy, like pulling the strings behind the curtain. But no, I'm more and more starting to believe that he is like... He's pretty legit in the Force. Like he has some kind of knowledge that we don't know about. And I would think if he does have a lightsaber, that this black ring on his finger would have something to do with it if it's a kyber crystal.
Yeah, I mean, a black kyber crystal is something we've not heard of yet. So,
well, we've seen it with the Darksaber.
I suppose, assuming it runs.
But
we
don't know. That's it. It could all be weird with what happened with Ahsoka and the white lightsabers. We don't have any information on black lightsabers yet.
I kind of like it that way, to be honest.
Yeah, for now.
Okay, so I mean, it seems obvious now that Snoke is probably going to be a Force user. Like, that was a topic. Like, does he know how to train people in the Force, but he's not a Force user himself? There was a lot of talk about that, potentially. I always felt that this guy did have abilities. and if he's got a lightsaber, I'm going to assume that he's going to use it. But I have a theory. I've had a lot of time to think about this, so I think, what if Snoke has either Vader's saber or the crystal inside of it? There's been a lot of talk about crystals lately and who's got whose saber from back in the day. What if Snoke has Vader's crystal?
I don't know. I think I might have to disperse that one. Like I heard, well, I saw Pablo Hidalgo tweet not too long ago about, if someone's lightsaber falls down like the shaft of the Death Star, and like there's a good chance it no longer exists.
Yeah.
Dispense of. Yeah, you're right. But if he said that, maybe he's just saying that to throw us off the trail.
It's possible, but I think they're going in a new direction here. I don't think Snoke really needs to be after Vader's lightsaber per se. I think he would kind of point Kylo in that direction to manipulate him, if you will.
All right. Well, I mean, I have. Hey, hold on, man. I got more to say on that. So, so what if? Okay, Kylo wants all things related to his grandfather. So he sees Rey with the blue lightsaber. He sees Finn with it. He wants it. Now, does he want it simply to add to his collection, or is there a deeper purpose to him wanting it? So maybe if he knows that Snoke has his grandfather's red crystal, and there's no way he's strong enough to get it off Snoke at this point, well, then maybe having the blue would at least put him on some kind of equal footing. And this would kind of play into what we already know in Star Wars as a saga, that the apprentice is always looking to usurp the master, right? So what if Kylo's saying, if I can get my hands on my grandfather's blue crystal, well, then that's something my master doesn't have. I think there could be some threads here to pull at.
Yeah, possibly. And he wants that lightsaber pretty bad, but for the most part, I see Snoke kind of using the information that, Vader's life kind of, and his grandson not knowing, finally figuring it out, being told. But again, that's all still very shadowy right now. We still don't know exactly what happened. So yeah, like I just think he manipulates Kylo in that regard. Like he knows he can get what he wants from Kylo. This is kind of a theory I came out with writing this. Basically, I should drink for that.
You should.
But
we'll stop and wait for you to drink.
All right, hang on. All right. So him dropping that bomb kind of on Kylo and manipulating him, about his grandfather, and just if he was interested in if Snoke was ever interested in Vader, I think it's possibly because of the potential that Vader had and the power that he had being the chosen one and whatnot. And I don't necessarily think that Snoke is after Kylo. I think he's using Kylo for an ends to his own means, and that is because he needs Rey. Like, Rey is who Snoke is really after, and Kylo is just along for the ride being manipulated, like, left, right, and center. Like, Snoke needs Rey for whatever's going down. Like, she's the key, right? Like, we've said that before. Why wouldn't it make sense that Snoke's going to want to get his hands on her if she's so incredibly powerful?
Maybe. I mean, he did make Kylo the master of the Knights of Ren. At least we believe that's what he did. You're right. I mean, I think Snoke definitely wants Rey, but for what purpose? Just so we can say, okay, well, Kylo, you're out, and I've got.
Well, I think that's the way the Dark Lord. So we don't think he's Sith necessarily, but people like that can kind of become expendable in a way. Like, I really, after having thought about it a bit, like I really think that, it's a means to his own ends, and Kylo's just kind of like a bit of a puppet to him.
Well, that's what Han tells Kylo. He's using it for your power, and once he gets it, he's gonna crush you. This sounds fair.
And how badly he's gonna be crushed when he's told that I really wanted her all along. He's gonna be like, no.
He's gonna get super emo if he hasn't gotten emo enough. But do you think it's possible, James? Do you think it's possible that Snoke is obsessed with Vader as well? So we know that they kind of look to Vader as sort of this idol, this person who led an exemplary life, except for one weakness, one weak moment of compassion. But do you think Snoke is just as obsessed?
I don't.
You think the obsession ends with Kylo?
I do, and I think he's exploiting that obsession. I think that he's created that obsession to a certain degree, but not. It's, I don't think it's mirroring Snoke's. I think it's just been implanted by Snoke, so he can control him. The reason I think that is just because everybody who seems to have an opinion thinks he's not Sith. If I thought he was Sith, then I could buy into he's obsessed with Vader. But if he's not, then that doesn't really make sense.
And then what reason does he have to be obsessed?
Right.
He's not related, at least we don't think, and he's not part of the same organization. So yeah, why? I mean, aside from saying that he was exemplary.
Well, he's the chosen one. Like there's fodder there to think that I just don't think. I think he needed something to do with Vader, possibly, but I don't think he's necessarily. He's got his own goals in mind, but the power that Vader possessed would be the only thing that I could see him being interested in. That and the fact that, again, like James said, he's exploiting Kylo, and I think they kind of draw that, like you said in the movie. In that one moment of weakness, kind of, like they kind of draw that line right there, like where you as a fan, you could say, whoa, moment of weakness, like, dude, he stood up to the man, where as you see Kylo just like, yes, you're right.
Hey, this is really interesting. I think we're peeling another layer of Snoke here. No, I like what James said. It makes sense that why would that Snoke is manipulating Kylo, that he created the obsession with Vader. But I do think there's maybe some room for these two guys to be in sort of a competition with one another. Like, who's going to embody Vader first? And I wonder if Kylo's reaction when Rey says that he's afraid that he'll never be as strong as Darth Vader. Like, he has a pretty averse reaction. Now, I don't know if that's because she told him that, like the surface value of those words, or if it's because he's going, oh my god, she got into my head. Like, I don't know what sparked that reaction out of him.
It's she definitely pressed the button there. She touched a nerve. Like, it's, again, you said it's this obsession, and now she knows that about him, so it kind of drives him a little wonky.
I mean, I think we know, again, that whether they're Sith or not, and we've been told they're not, but Kylo tells Rey that, you need a teacher, I can show you the ways of the Force. Now, is that because he's looking for another teammate, or is this a very Sithy thing to do where, no, come with me, I'll be the master, you be the apprentice, and then we'll go take out that guy?
Yeah, for sure.
That's very Sithy, isn't it?
Indeed. But I think he's afraid of her. Like, we've said this again before, like in the movie, he's like, it's the girl. Like, he's obviously seen this girl in a vision before. Maybe Snoke's been like tapping him upside the head. Like, whenever you see this goddamn girl, you better let me know. Like, you take her out, do whatever you got to do. Like, cause she's coming and it's going to be the end of us if you don't stop her, kind of. So there's something big about Rey that Snoke most likely has been pounding into his head, and he knows he's probably been having visions. Like, it all boils down to that, man.
Yeah, I know. I think this toy report with Snoke having a lightsaber, I think it opens up a bunch of possibilities and different discussions.
It sure does. If it turns out Corey's right and Rey's like some, or maybe it's Kyle who'll be right, but if Rey's some like embodiment of the Force, isn't that like a chosen one? Isn't that really? Doesn't that undo sort of the Anakin prophecy? If she's like, there's another chosen one like 30 years later.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like,
I sent that very question over to TSW saying, if Rey is this big deal, are we in danger of undoing Anakin's story here? It's not like thousands of years had passed where you could say, well, things happen over thousands of years and come to a boiling point yet again. This is 30 years, and yeah, this would destroy Anakin's legacy, and not only that, but really devalue all 6 of the prior movies.
Well, in a way, it already has, Kyle, because, again, no matter what it is, the prophecy states that it's supposed to bring balance, right? This is my major qualm with the prophecy. It brings balance. Well, the balance was never really had. Like, there's, like you said, that 30-year time frame. So what I think they might do, I don't know if they're going to touch back on the prophecy and all that stuff, but there's somehow that they can intertwine Rey's destiny with Anakin's somehow. We've talked about that in the past with that whole clone theory, with that amazing article that was written. I can't remember who wrote it. But if that were the case, then in that regard, they can kind of continue that story. And again, Anakin's still involved in this story, most likely, we hope. Hopefully he's spoken to Luke over the years. So, in my opinion, yes, Anakin can still be the chosen one, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the prophecy can't continue to the full balance because of all the variables that he's brought into play since the beginning.
English, please.
Well, I mean, he's brought Luke and Leia were these 2 different variables, like from what they've brought to the table since, like Kylo and all this stuff. Yeah, I just think that there's more to it than simply saying that Anakin was the chosen one and that's that. Like, I get it. Like, the Jedi came back and the Sith were destroyed, but there really wasn't that balance, and it's still all out of whack. So I think there's
the Force Awakens. What if the Force Awakens, because like now it's out of balance, but it was dormant because it was balanced.
Well, I don't think it was balanced. I mean, we're gonna have all this literature based in between that time frame, so there was never really. You know what it was when I was a kid, I guess, when I look back on it? When I hear that prophecy and think of balance, it's almost like you see that galactic era of utter peace where it's like the golden age of man, where like almost like in the Lord of the Rings, where there's never going to be another war again, kind of like everyone's come to that understanding, that great understanding. And I still think there's room for that. I just don't think, again, I don't think Lucasfilm's going to go the prophecy route. But if anything, I've always found this very interesting. If Rey were to be somehow that experiment on Jakku, whatever it is she somehow a creation of the Force, or like a clone of or part of Anakin's DNA or whatever, then it opens the door for that again.
Yeah, I see what you... As far as Lord of the Rings goes, they went from the 3rd to the 4th age of man. So every few thousand years, shit hit the fan.
Yeah, and things change.
But at least
Elves
it was a few
leave.
thousand years. So I see your point about not feeling like there was much balance. I think Kyle's right. If you look at fundamentally the hard facts of the story is that Anakin was the chosen one. Balance was there. It just looks like it didn't last very long. That's all.
Yeah, and that's sort of the part that worries me. This whole 1,000-year prophecy, or however long it was. The Jedi were waiting for this, and here he is, the chosen one. He brings balance, and it lasts for a drop in the bucket. I think there's a real danger in devaluing that.
Well, that's the thing. That's why I say that this, if it's a 7, 8, and 9, it's still the same story. So it should, to me, always from the beginning, it should continue that same story. It doesn't have to devalue it. It should continue it.
Well, except they're not going to, yeah, there's a discussion to be had about that, I suppose, but they're not going to go against what Lucas has already said. They're not going to retcon him. They're not going to do it.
Yeah, but he's always said that stuff off screen. I get it. Anakin is the chosen one. We've had this discussion, and I don't want to upset anyone about it, but I just think there's really more room left in the prophecy for interpretation of true balance and what the chosen ones brought to the table in order to achieve that.
When you say true balance, I hear alternative facts.
How so?
Well, because it's just balance. Like, don't start saying like true balance. Like we need a new kind of balance. Just balance. We just need regular balance.
Well, I see just balance to me has always, I guess, represented peace.
Yeah, we should have had a longer piece.
Now, what if?
But almost like enlightenment, almost, you know? Peace and enlightenment. Like, everyone's just like, okay, I get it now. Like, no more fighting.
Like the Wild Stallions.
Something like that.
Oh god, that would be beautiful if the Wild Stallions show up in a phone booth.
Be excellent to each other.
Wow, that would be. I don't know if I would stand up and cheer or stand up and walk out.
Would it be better if Canoe showed up as Ted or Bill, whichever one he was, or as Neo? Like which would be more
If he
out of
shows up
place
as
for a
Neo,
Star
I'm gonna
Wars movie?
Vomit all over the people in front of me.
Yeah, Bill and Ted are better, eh?
Oh yeah. Theodore Logan, Bill S. Preston Esquire, and Ted Theodore Logan.
Yeah, Neo seems to have a lot on his mind. He's not too talkative. Be a bummer.
Hey, but that was pretty cool. I think there's. I mean, just imagine Snoke gets a lightsaber, and that opens up a world of possibility. I think it's pretty rad.
Yep.
Yeah, it really does.
All right. Well,
Ancient knowledge.
Well, again, I mean, the whole idea of balance. Maybe the whole thing is that the Force, if somebody Snoke is trying to unbalance the Force again by some kind of unnatural means. Maybe this is something the Jedi didn't foresee, or that the prophecy didn't predict.
Oh, that's the thing. That's exactly the thing. The prophecy is visions and all this stuff that no one can fully interpret. And we've heard the Sith created it. The Sith created Anakin. Like all this stuff. There's so much room for interpretation. So if, again, like there's babies created in these labs or whatever it is, like there's all kinds of room for stuff like that. Like I don't see it being so cut and dry.
As long as they don't retcon George and undercut what he said, fine.
No, Vader and Anakin, like as one, they have to be a part of the prophecy moving forward, and whatever comes of that prophecy, whatever, like it has to be directly linked to Anakin somehow.
I don't know.
And in that regard, I'm okay with it.
I feel like I don't. For some reason, I feel like the prophecy has been fulfilled. Anakin is the chosen one.
Yeah,
I don't know why I think that. I don't know why.
Well, again, like you want to get into open a can of worms, like we're doing 7, 8, and 9 now. So to me, Kyle just said it before. It kind of seems almost disrespectful not to continue that story properly. Like if you wanted to do a new story, do a new story. Don't continue that saga without a point.
I see what you're saying, but I
like it makes sense to me to again, Anakin brought way too many variables to the table, and there's too much left unknown for us to again, he's the chosen one. I get that, but there's just room to play with there.
I get that.
I don't think he gets it at all.
I just don't think. Anyway, whatever.
I just don't think he is the chosen one, is what you're saying.
No, he is, and from what he's the catalyst that he's started, like it's just not over. Like it all began with him, and it's all gonna end with him again still too, because of everything that he's brought into the picture.
But didn't George actually say the prophecy has been fulfilled?
I feel like
Anakin is the chosen one.
I feel like we've been here before.
Okay, moving on. I don't want to talk about it anymore. You guys want to hear it? Let's go. I don't care. Like, I don't know why we're doing 7, 8, and 9 then. Like, I've said that before in the past too. If it's not somehow related to...
It doesn't have to be related to the prophecy.
Then you just said it yourself. It's kind of negligent in a way.
Again, the story's unfolding. We'll see, but I'm sure it's got nothing to... It should not have anything to do with the Chosen One and the prophecy. We should not hear about the prophecy in this saga.
Dun, dun,
No,
dun.
I kind of agree with that, to be honest.
No, I don't. I
Like
think that has to be done with.
I think the ancient knowledge is just going to change our perspective on things. They might touch upon it a bit, being like, my grandfather was this kind of thing within the Force, and and now you're that kind of thing or whatever, you know.
You're a clone of that
But
kind of thing.
I'd like them to somehow tie it all together so that it's not so sporadic. Like, hey Ray, you're just this new virgins in the Force. Like,
Yeah, we just have to hold our horses. That's it.
I thought you were taking the horse out of the notes.
I did.
Oh.
All right, guys, it's time for some ads edition. Who's ready to hear from ads this week?
Always ready to hear from ads.
Yeah, man, he's got a good one for us this week. So let's check that out, and we'll kick it around.
Hello chaps, hope everyone is well. My question this week concerns Luke and The Last Jedi, and specifically how he might be portrayed in any fight scenes. In Rogue One, the Vader scene at the end, although lots of people really like that scene, there are some. I know James had reservations about it, and I appreciate where he's coming from with that scene. But one of the issues was the fact that we hadn't seen sort of Vader fight like that previously. Now, do we think that Luke in The Last Jedi is going to kick ass? And if so, how do you think it would be best to show that? So as always, I will look forward to listening. Have a cracking show. Long live the Commonwealth. And I will catch you next week. Bye.
All right, ads. Thank you, sir. That's another terrific question from ads this week. I'm going to kick it over to James first this week. James, so how will Luke be portrayed in potential fight scenes in The Last Jedi? Will he, as ads said, kick ass? And if so, what's the best way to show him kicking ass?
Yes.
And there you go. Corey.
He will kick ass. No, he will definitely kick ass. And how they're going to show him kicking ass, I'm not exactly sure because, excuse me while I take some tea. A little frog in my throat. I'm not sure if they're going to like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon it, where they do the close-up, far-away thing, so you don't, it doesn't really matter who it is. Or if they're going to do the CGI, like, still the speaking shots, dialogue shots where it's a real person, and then the action shots where it's not even a human being, a la prequels for Yoda. Oh, nice, Corey. But I'm not sure how they're going to show Luke kicking ass. Like I think he'll be like Mr. Miyagi was, looking old only in appearance, not in movement in the way he fights. I think Luke will be nimble and spry, just like old Yoda was. How they'll show it exactly, though, it's hard to know so far. Hands on though, like I don't think he'll be like all force pushes, and like I think he'll be pretty hands on in his badassness.
I think it's what most of us are hoping for. I think we all want to see him turn on that lightsaber and then go to town on the Knights of Ren.
I'm not sure when we'll see it, but at some point we'll see it in 8.
Care to chime in, Corey?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I want to see Mark Hamill in fine fighting form, like James just touched upon it. Faraway shots, the kind of way they play with, older actors, editing. There's a technology to get away with that now too, but again, I'd like to see Mark Hamill be on top of his game in this. It's muscle memory. He was a pretty good sword fighter back in the day, so I hope he brought his game to this. But the question really is, when Rey meets him, has he been super hardcore training, waiting for her? Is he still super hardcore skilled, or is he a little bit rusty at this point? I'm almost starting to lean to the latter at this point. Like, it almost seems like he
Rusty Jedi? No, Corey.
Well, he just seems begrudged, right? Like, that's the initial reaction we're getting, and I'm not thinking that's the end of the movie. I'm thinking, again, that's when they meet. So we've also heard that Hamill's not necessarily impressed with Luke's character in this film, or wasn't necessarily in agreeance with the way they took his character. So maybe that is the case. Like he looks from the trailer like they give us that impression that he's not too happy at this point, And I might even burst. I'm gonna burst both your bubbles here. Like, we heard back in the day that there was this possible scene of a lightsaber being reconstructed, right? You guys remember that?
with like using force power.
Great, yeah. So now, granted, Rey hasn't gone through that process, but what we do know is that lightsaber chose her directly. Like, that Kyber crystal sang to her. She found it at Maz's castle. She found it again in the snow fighting Kylo. So I'm pretty sure that one sticks with her. So when you think about that, is there really a need for her to really deconstruct that and reconstruct it? Is that really relevant to the story? So I'm almost starting to think now that Luke lost Green or gave up Green. Somehow Green's gone after whatever happened at the temple, and it's time for Luke to become the new Jedi. Like, it's Luke reconstructing that saber in that scene. And maybe he's waiting whatever him and Rey do in this temple, or if he's waiting for her and he gets into it, maybe he gets a new crystal in that temple and rebuilds a new saber. But I think the culmination of his fighting prowess will be explored whenever we see the Knights of Ren. We know we're kind of expecting that at this point. It's a bit of a spoiler, but they should be showing up on Act 2 at one point, and him and Rey are going to be separated. So I think that's going to be the where we're really going to get to see him in action. And yes, he will kick ass, but will he kick ass from the start? I don't know.
Okay,
I think
Lucasfilm,
I think it's going to take.
Do not put Corey in charge of a Disney movie. His Disney movie is going to suck.
Hey man, I'm just going from what I saw so far. I'm speculating here. I'm not saying I necessarily like it.
You shouldn't have Luke backpedaling on his Jedi prowess. No, I don't like that at all. I hope you're wrong.
Hey, I don't necessarily either, but I don't know if you saw the same trailer that I did, but ending the Jedi and all that stuff, I think I knew a friend of mine that was almost crying about it.
Out of context. But yeah, and what you're saying is exactly what I fear most, that they're going to like belittle his legacy. And what you're saying is like, yeah, now he's like some crappy, like he sort of forgot how to Jedi. That sounds awful to me. I don't like that at all.
Again, we don't know how long he's been there, what he was in search of there in the first place. So
I feel it more like he's been like what happened to Obi-Wan on Tatooine. I feel like Luke's just been meditating and like Jediing up, Super Saiyan charging.
Dude, that's exactly what I want too, man. Don't get me wrong. Like that's what I want. I want exactly. That's the perfect way to describe it. Super Saiyan up. Like this is, I want him to be wiser and better, and I don't want him to be another generation of whiny Skywalker, like an old man whiny Skywalker. Like, and Rey has to pick him up off his heels. But I almost sense that's the direction they're taking. They're both going to need each other equally in order to complete both their training.
I think when we get Luke talking in The Last Jedi, I think we're going to see a bitter, jaded guy who doesn't want any part of it anymore. I think he's still going to be, it'll be clear that he's still very powerful. I think as long as a Jedi maintains his connection to the Force, the rest is all irrelevant. He's still going to be on top of his game because he's still deeply entrenched in the Force. But
it's like riding a speeder bike. Come on.
Something like that, yeah.
No, like what? But I think what we're all saying is that we would like him to have been on that planet, waiting and studying harder, like Obi-Wan did on Tatooine, and growing as a Jedi. But I don't know if that's necessarily the case. But I would like to think that is. I want to see a super powerful Luke. I think we're gonna get that in that movie. But again, I don't know if it's right off the bat.
No, I think Rey has
like
to.
Maybe.
If I had to guess, it's going to be Rey showing up saying, "Okay, I'm here. Train me." And Luke's going to say, "Nah, I don't feel like doing this anymore." And I think she's going to have to push his buttons.
Yeah, she's going to chip away at him and teach him a thing or two, and make him realize things about himself.
It seems like that is what's going to happen, but like, I don't know. Is it too obvious? Is that just what's going to happen for sure?
Well, I would almost have to say yes. I wouldn't have wanted it to go down that route myself. Like we just said that. But, and again, Hamill was quote, I can't remember exactly what he said, but I don't think he was necessarily in agreement with the direction they took. So
You said an agreeance last time.
I'm sorry. Whatever. Either way, like it points to a Luke that's not necessarily that Super Saiyan Luke that we've been talking about, which is what I want, but I think they're veering away from that.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe in Mark Hamill's head, he probably thought Luke was just going to be ready to go. All right, let's go fight. I kind of feel like Mark Hamill's that type of gung-ho optimist guy. So when you meet Luke and he's sullen and doesn't want to do anything about what's going on in the galaxy, I think that's probably a slap in the face to what he's lived with for 40 years as Luke Skywalker. So I don't.
But then why did he go there? Unless you're saying he went there to hide, he went there to like find out something. So he should be, I don't know, he should be eager to move forward with whatever it is that I don't know.
But maybe the years of solitude have like eroded him.
Apathy doesn't seem to make sense for me. Like for him to take off and disappear to this place if he's just doesn't care to be in.
But
to be
no,
involved.
You're right in that regard, because that would kind of really negate like Yoda's story in a way. Like he knows Yoda's sacrifice being on Dagobah for all that time. If he can't chill on that island for a little bit, like as long as there's food and whatnot, like, yeah, I don't want to see whiny Luke and begrudge Luke. But regardless, I think in the long run, to Ad's question, we are going to see a powerful Luke at one point in this story.
Yeah, I mean, if those old reports are true, and the Knights of Ren show up on Act 2, and they have a little throwdown, I think we'll get a little bit of column A and column B. I think he might, toss a couple guys around with force powers, just to show how strong he is in that regard. And then he might just take out Old Green, if he still has it, if he still has his old green lightsaber, and show us what he can do with that. I don't think it has to be one or the other. I think it's inevitably going to be both.
Yeah, I agree.
Really, really cool lightsaber scenes have got to be sort of high on the agenda checklist right now for filmmakers at Lucasfilm. The way that Vader scene, captured everybody's imagination. I think if there's a cool way to use lightsabers, that they know that that's money in the bank.
Well, look at Daredevil. Have you guys checked out Daredevil on Netflix?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Negative.
So in this, I think it was the second episode of season 1, there was this fight scene, and I started watching this almost the day that it dropped. And I binged the first 2-3 episodes, but there was a fight scene in, I'm pretty sure it's in the second episode. And it's one continuous shot, so there's not really any tricky editing going on. And it's in this confined hallway. And it's Daredevil just plowing through a bunch of thugs. And it was just mind-blowing. And then lo and behold, I hop on the Twitter and I want to brag about this fight. And I see so many people talking about it too. Like that, they were just so in awe about this fight scene in the hallway in Daredevil. Holy shit, what a great job they did. It was just so cool. So, James, you're right. There seems to be this focus on giving a character, not just at Lucasfilm, but across the board, like these moments where they can just soak in the spotlight. And I do think we're going to get that with Luke as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Now, whether it's
when you talk about long shots, though, you know what? That's more a direct, like you give props to more. Basically, would be the director. Like, take Goodfellas for example. There's that scene where they're walking to the kitchen and whatnot, and I think it's filmed for like. Filming long scenes in movies basically without editing is a very difficult task.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I get what you mean. That would have been hard on everybody.
No, it's a great scene. I bet you it's on YouTube, but if you just check it out. Daredevil hallway fight scene. It is so cool. And if you see the trailer for Defenders, they've kind of echoed that. There's a scene where all 4 of them are in a corridor beating up a bunch of thugs. So they just ripped that right out of the first season of Daredevil and did it again but except 4 heroes instead of 1. It's really cool. All right. So, did we answer Ad's question?
Probably
I
not.
think so.
We probably loop-told it and got it half wrong. Sorry, Ads.
No, I think the consensus was at one point we can all agree that he's gonna have some astronomical power. Like Ads was kind of saying, comparing it to like Rogue One Vader power. And yeah, I think if he's going up against 8 or 7 Knights of Ren, then yeah, I think he's gonna be pretty impressive.
Now, does this, if we go back about half an hour, where we were talking about Snoke and his lightsaber, does this inevitably mean that Luke and Snoke are going to duel it out?
Part 1.
Seems inevitable, right?
Hmm.
Whether it's, I
Yeah.
doubt it's episode 8, but this could be the climax of 9. Whether we lose Luke or not at that point, who knows? But it seems like there's a collision course coming down here.
Correct.
And yeah, I agree. And when I think about that, like watching the Clone Wars, like I think we were talking about it recently, Kyle. What was that? The general that turned bad, Krell, I believe.
Yep.
Like this guy had James. Listen to this, man. Like this guy is probably like, again, a 7-foot creature, super wide berth, like really big guy, 4 arms and 2 double-edged lightsabers. Like when he dropped into a battlefield, it's like a literal bomb, you know?
You mean figurative?
Like so.
Like a figurative bomb.
Sorry. Either way, when you see, if you think about Snoke being a 7-foot character or whatever, and lightsabers being like proportional, like look at Yoda's, like Snoke, that could be pretty interesting.
No,
For sure. He looks like, I mean, if he's a force wielder and he can move, you always got to fear. We said this when we made our hockey teams on Ad's question, whatever, last week or 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I mean, you like the guy with the big reach. So I wouldn't want to mess with Snoke if he can move.
And on another note, quickly, I ran all the teams through that simulator there, and my team just wins every time. Every time. James, you're a close second, but Kyle, yeah, I don't know what happened with your team there, but
that's a shame.
yeah,
I'm heartbroken. You know, as far as how Snoke moves, I think there's something very creepy about the guy. I think he's like, when we see him moving and in battle, I think there's going to be something very unsettling about the way he moves.
Like in those horror movies where the thing crawls upside down and backwards, and you're like, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah, like well, not exactly that, but yeah, along that vein, where there'll be something very inhuman about the way he moves. It just won't look.
It'll be he'll be like have a bad posture and have like a really unorthodox way of wielding a lightsaber.
Like something very serpentine about the guy. Like he'll have like these Gumby flexible arms and legs, and you just won't be able to get him. Like he'll just be very wiggly and.
You just gave me the weirdest.
Get him.
You just gave me the weirdest visual there of him just like, you know, like extending hips to both sides, like whoop, whoop.
I'm almost thinking like something very cartoonish, where he's just gonna be so almost like trying to grab a slippery bar of soap. Like he's just gonna be all over the place.
Yeah, it could be pretty interesting and pretty powerful. I don't necessarily see him being the fastest character, but just positioning technique and power and length of saber is going to have a factor to play in that.
Maybe.
Hey, a world premiere idea. Have we heard this? It's probably been suggested, but has anybody suggested the Fight Club scenario for Snoke?
No.
that he's Kylo Ren's alter ego?
Then what the hell's Hux looking at?
A hologram?
A projection?
Yeah.
A hologram, yeah.
Dude, there's been all kinds of theories about that. Maz is Snoke.
I've heard Maz is Snoke, but I haven't heard
That's the whole thing, man. Your Snoke theory sucks. That's where it all comes from, you know? Like, everybody's Snoke. We're all Snoke.
I thought we were all Negan.
Tumbling saber might be Snoke.
All right. Ads, I think we all agree Luke is going to kick ass. I personally think he's going to use his saber and his force powers.
Me too.
Corey?
Rey is Snoke.
Corey's not paying attention anymore. So we move on
Corey's
to
drunk.
Bradley. Bradley W. Hall has sent us a couple questions for this week. And Ads, we want to thank you again for your awesome question.
Thanks, Ads. What's up, Bradley?
James, this is your beard brother, man.
I know, he's got the most epic beard in the Tumbling Saber friend group, as far as I know.
Yeah, dude, I was so
like, nobody on my Twitter feed's got a more epic beard than Bradley does.
Dude, that's the first thing I ever, like, he was in my notifications at one point, and I was like, James? Like, and then I actually tweeted at him, I was like, you could totally play the stunt double for James when we make the live action Tumbling Saber movie.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
But yeah, man, totally cool dude.
Yeah, man. Brad, thank you for listening, sir, and thank you for the questions this week. So a bit of a basic one, guys. This is kind of the getting to know each other stage. So what's your favorite Star Wars movie, and what version of said movie? So Bradley's is the 77 original release, and if that's the one if he had to just watch one, that would be it. So James, I'll kick it over to you first. What is your movie of choice?
Okay. First of all, I'm going to give you my beard expression of choice. My favorite beard expression or thing to say about beards is if and I love it when my wife says this, and she indulges me from time to time, but I just tell people this is her favorite expression, even though it's not. If your man has a beard, raise your hand, and if he doesn't, raise your standards. So, Bradley, hats off to that main. And I guess I'm going to have to say the original theatrical version of Empire, because that's the one we had on VHS, and that's the one I sort of watched as a kid multiple times. So I'd say that one's got the nostalgia factor, and overall that's my favorite story, my favorite. I don't know how if you factor in if I watch them all from beginning to end now, I think Empire would still be my favorite, but I can't remove the kid inside me. So I think probably Phantom Menace would be higher on my chart if I was a kid watching them now. But I have to say theatrical version of Empire for me.
Corey? And James, I can't argue with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's all a sign of our age. James said it right there. We cannot at this point attach ourselves from the nostalgia factor.
Detach.
It's you can't. You just can't. Like, look at Bradley. He's saying the original 1977. I'm sure he saw that in 1977. You know what I mean? Like, James, you're saying you had the movie. The only way I can really detach and think about it is I still remember watching A New Hope with you guys, with our cousins. You remember that, Kyle? Empire, remember? And Jedi, I still remember as well. All the first times. The Phantom Menace again too was amazing. I was 18 when it came out. That meant so much, but no. Empire. What they did with Star Wars at that point, we had this great feel-good movie in 1977 that was like this epic space battle in it. People just loved it. They ate it up, and they were able to do so much more moving forward, and they took a huge risk. Like, what a great way, such a great twist to the saga, like such a different film. Like Kyle had mentioned it not too long ago. It's not like they followed it up with another Death Star trench run. They kind of, I guess they saved that for 3, but either way, it was a very, very different film from the first, which just opened people's eyes up, and it just blew people away with the Vader factor being the father, and just the whole dark theme and all the doors that it opened. Like the chances they took with that film, just spot on. It's a magical, magical films. I'm with James in the original release as well. The special editions, a lot of stuff just feels forced to me.
Haha,
So
forced.
It's, but yeah, it's a nostalgia thing, and not only that, I just think Empire is just took the biggest risk and paid off the most for those dark and different. That twist they took was just paid off in countless ways.
Dude, there's no way Bradley was old enough to watch 1977 original Star Wars. Just for the record.
Brownie points. Yeah, geez, I don't want to have to complete the circuit here, but yeah, the first theatrical version of Empire was, I guess, the movie that stuck with me as a whole. You know, those opening moments of A New Hope are the moments, or is the moment that kind of sticks with me the most as a kid. But Empire was the movie, like front to back, that gripped me the hardest. As for the release, I think of the three originals, or the changes made in Empire benefit that movie the most. Like, the changes are...
I agree with that too.
They're much
Yeah.
more subtle changes. You know, I think putting in the Wampa, like to get to see the Wampa, I think I think that was pretty good. Adding the extra scenery in Cloud City, changing the scene with the Emperor aboard the Star Destroyer, I think those were all good changes. The things that
I don't know why. For some reason, I cannot explain this, but I always enjoy the original Emperor scene more.
yeah, I can't explain that either.
It's just from when I was a kid, just thinking about it, remembering it. You know, it's got to be that. It's got to be that.
That's the only explanation. But yeah, I'm totally on board. I mean, the original version of Empire is probably my favorite, though. You know, the special edition one is, for me, it's just as good. I like all the changes. I think they were smart. Unlike episodes 4 and 6, I don't think all the changes they did there benefit the movie all that much.
No, some of them seem forced.
All right, I mean, for the sake of interest, James, you went down a notch. You drilled down to the Phantom Menace. Corey, what if you have to go beyond Empire? Are you going to go straight to A New Hope?
You know, it's so hard for me. It's a toss-up between A New Hope, Jedi, and Phantom Menace. Because Phantom Menace, again, we saw it in that theater that night, that spring night, and just waited for it forever. Just so awesome to have waited for it.
And Battle for
A New
Endor.
Hope. Yeah, and like that too was pretty good. But no, just Jedi. I still remember watching Jedi on a summer's evening, and meeting the Ewoks for the first time was a big deal for me. And the first time the Death Star blew up too. Like, it's just so hard to decide. Like, I would almost, it's such a fluid list. But from a movie standpoint, I think I'd have to go with A New Hope, just because it's the Genesis.
Yeah, this is boring. we're coming from the same place. I like what James said about Phantom Menace. As far as an experience goes, yeah, that was probably the most fun I've had with seeing a Star Wars movie in theater. But yeah, I mean, as far as which movies are my favorite, it's probably the theatrical version of Empire. But you could also give me the special edition; I'd be just as happy. And then A New Hope.
Yeah, 5, 4, 6, other. We're all in the same boat. Kids born in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, yeah, of course you can't detach yourself from that. It's ingrained.
That's not what Corey said, but that's what he meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But I just think, again, the twist they took in Empire was such a different, it was like a 180 from A New Hope, which was a big risk.
Well, yeah,
And
I
it just
think
really
Fox
expanded
Fox
that universe.
wanted them to do another Kraken adventure where the Empire loses at the very last minute and the rebellion sails away victorious. But that's not at all what they did.
And then Han meets Carbonite.
Yeah, all that stuff, all that downer stuff just was not what was expected. Then Brad's second question. So we're going back to the well with Luke. And this, I think, is a cool question from Bradley. Do you think it's possible that Luke may have been instructed to go search for the first Jedi Temple, and that it wasn't his idea to actually go there? So, Brad, thank you, sir. This one, I think, is a bit of a mind bender. I had never considered this. You guys, who wants to take this one first?
I'll say that I also never considered it, so I'll let Corey go first.
All right, so once I had considered it, I basically, it made me realize something like,
Hey, drink.
Why?
Because you said basically.
No, I said,
Yeah, you did say that.
I said it made me realize something, no?
No, you said basically.
Basically.
All right, whatever. Hang on.
Naproxen and beer. This is going swimmingly.
Yeah, hang on.
Just don't say chosen one. We can maybe finish the show tonight.
I should say Disney. I'll say Disney. Let's put another $2
You
in
just
that
did.
pot. Disney?
I don't feel like I don't feel like throwing in fake dollars. I want these screw ups to be genuine.
All right. Either way, it kind of made me realize, like, is it self-realization on Luke's part? Like, again, I guess in the back of my head, I had already figured this out, but now he's bringing it to the fore. So is it self-realization, or is it because of a truth bomb that's been dropped on him? And I guess in the back of my head, I had already settled on the truth bomb. Like, I think there's something out there that maybe Snoke's told him, or, you know, maybe a holocron, maybe a Force ghost. There's a reason why, like, someone's pushed him along the way. I don't think it's him that's saying, I gotta find this first temple. I think there's some kind of tidbit of knowledge that's been dropped on him, and it's changed his life profoundly. And yeah, he's like, I gotta get to this place, and I know it's out there, and I'm gonna find it, and there's a reason why I need to find it, etc.
James, you want to build on that?
Ah, jeez. Like 3 shows in a row, I just keep agreeing with Corey over and over again. I was going to say Force Ghost. I was going to say if someone tells him to go, the only reasonable explanation for me was that a Force Ghost said, seek out this knowledge from this temple. I like the idea that someone suggests to him to go or tells him to go, but I can't really, before I get on board with that entirely, I got to think who would do it and who he'd listen to.
We had talked about it, I think it was last week, actually. Last week or the week before, it was Snoke being involved with dropping a bomb of truth on both Kylo and Luke, like ultimately making Kylo change, like compounding like the Vader truth and all that stuff. Like, it just made him go like bonkers, and like turn to the dark side. So I think there's something to be had there, So I think
it could be.
I think Snoke maybe told them both something like, hey, in your face, you got it wrong, Skywalker. I'm taking your nephew.
Well, okay, so I'll add on to Bradley's question here. I think it kind of plugs in nicely. 'Cause a few weeks ago, I was asking you guys, why is Luke going to this temple? What motivates you to want to find the first temple? What's so special about the first temple? And maybe it's not because Luke realized, like, it seems kind of daft to me that Luke would just go, like, lose his academy and go, oh, I get it. I need to go to the first Jedi temple. It makes all the sense in the world to me that somebody told him, go to the first Jedi temple. You'll get some answers there.
Yeah.
And
100%.
It sometimes you just need somebody to say something from out of the blue or outside your echo chamber to make you realize something so simple could be so true. But
I totally agree with what you're saying, but at the same time, I don't think you need it. Like, if his whole academy gets wiped and he's like completely at rock bottom, go back to the beginning is not an unreasonable place to go all by yourself either.
I guess not.
But if it's all the same, because at this point you would think you would have some kind of ancient Jedi knowledge anyway, like some kind of holocron that we know that he's looked at holocrons and stuff. So I would have to say like someone's given him that extra nudge, and I almost again like to think it's Snoke, man, that points him in that direction and Luke somehow escapes where he's not supposed to, maybe.
Well, Snoke couldn't have told. Well, I guess he could have told him to go find the first Jedi Temple.
No, well, he could have just made like a mistake himself in speaking, you know what I mean? Like, just put some kind of thing out there that Luke's just like, that means I need to do this.
Maybe.
Or most likely, if that were to happen, it would be Kylo blabbing his mouth, being such a young buck. Snoke having like told him some stuff that's messed with his head, and then Kylo going and basically Snoke telling him to say, "Don't say." Anyway, Snoke saying, "Don't say anything more than this," but like Kylo just going that extra little limit and giving Luke that extra tidbit.
Well, Yoda told Kanan and Ezra to go find Malachor. Could he have told Luke to go find the first Jedi Temple?
It depends, I guess. We don't know how Force Ghosts work. Like, Yoda's still alive at that point, you know?
At Malachor?
Yeah, like at that point in the story, Yoda's still alive, so it's like fair game for him to aid them. Whereas like when Kenobi's dead, like I can't help you anymore, you know? Like, I don't know. It's weird that area of how Force Ghosts can give. It's like they always have to let you figure it out yourself, almost. Like they give you the clues to point you in the right direction for you to figure it out on your own.
Well, yeah, I mean, Yoda told them exactly where to go. It's not like Malachor was a mystery. Just go there.
But why? And look at what they went through.
Well, sure. I mean, it was kind of a gong show, but Yoda didn't leave it up to them to figure anything out. He just said, go there.
But again, he was still alive. That's what I'm saying. Like, as a Force Ghost now, is he able to really, like, interfere so directly in people's decisions?
I don't see why not.
I guess. And, yeah, Kenobi told Luke to go to Dagobah.
If he's going back to learn some truth, some something the Jedi missed, a big deal was made about creating life in the first 6 movies, for the prequels specifically. But maybe someone creates life, or like at least says they did or something, and Luke needs to find out more about that. Or
how about this? Like, we've heard these rumors about the first 2 Jedi ever, where there was this brother and sister, the light and the dark or whatever, right? And maybe possibly even attached to this movie. Like, maybe that's somehow attached to, like Anakin or something, you know what I mean?
You keep trying to rope him back into this.
Well, it all boils down to that, man.
If it's going to be brother and sister, original Jedi, whatever, it's going to be Kylo and Rey, dude.
But I'm not saying that. It's about them two, like, that's where the original information would have came from, right?
Not sure what you mean.
Well, yes, but like, if say for example you're right, and she's a reincarnation of one of the original Jedi, whatever, then Luke finds out the existence of this person and says, "I've got to go to the original temple to find out more," and that is where he meets her in the end. So it was a good move.
Yeah, I get that. Right?
So, like, the idea of him going to the original Jedi Temple to find out more about that, what he didn't know about the Force, I think it could come. Like, I like the suggestion that it could come from an outsider. I just don't think it needs to at all.
Like, what if Lor San Tekka told Luke to go there?
It's funny. No one said that yet, but when I read the question, that was the first name that I thought of.
I mean, these guys seem to be very, very hardcore, Force and Jedi followers. Maybe they have all this recorded history somewhere, and it's like it's a very known location for him, but they're so far off the grid that nobody else knows it exists. But he could have told Luke.
Well, again,
or maybe like Dave Donovan said, once Luke decided he was going there, he went to Coruscant and removed the those records from the database or whatever before he went to Octu.
Well, it's definitely I think Act 2 is one of the greatest mysteries of the galaxy at this point. Like, I think it's hidden quite nicely, and Luke really unraveled the mystery in getting there.
Yeah, but the precedent of being told where to go is is set. I mean, Yoda telling
Well,
Kanan Ezra and Kenobi telling Luke to go to Dagobah. It's not
Yeah, they're allowed.
like it's been done, and I can't believe that this hasn't been talked about. So my hat is off to Bradley for bringing this up as an option.
Well,
Yeah, well done, Bradley.
Lord Santeca definitely sounds like the option, though. Like you guys said, like in my encyclopedia, I mentioned this not too long ago. It says that he has a vast wealth of knowledge and like a lot of like secrets that not other people know. Kind of like a Maz kind of character, you know. Like he's collected a lot of things along the way. So it's
Could have been
possible.
Maz, too. She had that lightsaber.
Yeah. I see it being someone with a little more gravity than not necessarily Maz, but Lord Santeca. I could see it because of the information that he has, but I really see it being not a self-realization, but more like someone just threw something in his face that just turned his world upside down, and he's like, okay, like, yeah, okay, there's this that's out there, and I'm gonna find it, and I'm gonna get my answers there because of what this person told me.
Yeah, it makes all the sense in the world to me now. That he would have been instructed to go find this place. Otherwise, he never would have went at all. I mean, Han Solo said that he went looking for the first Jedi Temple. So to literally interpret that means that it was a decision that Luke made on his own to go find it. But Han could just be giving you the bullet point. There could be more to the story. He could have been easily told.
No, to me, there's no reason to go look for the first one. Like, there's so many other temples and stuff out there and holocrons. Like, there's a specific reason why he's searching this one out in particular. To get his hands on those books, and not the digital translation of them.
What if what Snoke tells Kylo is that he's like a reincarnation of like the original Jedi? That's why. What if Snoke tells Kylo that's what corrupts him? He lets him in on this secret that like he's like this reincarnation. He's not really Han and Leia's daughter. He's much more, and so that's why Luke needs to know about like more about the foundation of the Jedi and has to go back to the first temple.
Well, I definitely think that Snoke's blowing all kinds of smoke up Kylo's ass in the sense that, you know, like once we complete this, like you can be this kind of deal for sure.
Well, he's telling Kylo everything he wants to hear in order to get him on his side, which is exactly what Palpatine did to Anakin.
Yep.
Anyway, Bradley, that was super, man.
Yeah, he kept us going there.
So you can, for everybody out there, if you want to follow Bradley, he's at Bradley W. Hall on Twitter. I'm sure he'd like to connect with a bunch more Star Wars fans. So have at it. And again, we thank you, Bradley, for cruising us into the end of the show here. My hat is off to you, sir. Guys, it's been a pleasure once again.
Always.
Thanks, man. Always.
Groovy. All right, so we're going to get out of here, and we're going to thank everybody for listening. And stay tuned later this week. We'll be back with another ripping edition of Sith Disturbers, for which we have absolutely nothing planned as of yet. But I'm sure we'll get something together.
We always do. And Carlo Candido Kickstarter, happy birthday, Rob Wade. And thanks, Bradley and Ed.
All right, I couldn't have said it better myself. Corey James, thanks a lot, guys. And don't forget, everybody, to check out StarWarsCommonwealth.com. Go check out the different podcast partners we're aligned with there. Talk Star Wars, Generation X-Wing, Skyhoppers, Nerd Room, and the Rogue Squadron podcasts. Great shows, one and all. And if you've got a few minutes, please head over to iTunes and leave us a review. We'll read that on the show when we get it. And again, as James said, really important, go check out Carlos Candido, his Kickstarter campaign. Really want to help this guy get his project off the ground. I know you want to hear it too. So until you catch us again this week in Sith Disturbers, hope you guys are having a good week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Self-redeeming qualities, have they hindered me? Hindering, was I blind to see? Blind to see that you needed me? All of me watching you walking away from me. Were you watching?